Hey, meet these folks. Sarah and Jeff.
Oh, they're so nice.
Sarah is an accountant. She's got a small firm in a southern suburb of the Twin Cities. Jeff, you probably know this. He's in sales.
Boy, he's good.
They're doing pretty good financially, and they're ready to sell their starter home and move up in the world.
Also, that is a stock photo, and
That's
we totally
true.
made this couple up.
Also
but
true.
that doesn't mean that we all can't learn something about selling a home from our real estate report experts from DeRoche Realty Group and Coldwell Banker Burnett. We want to welcome back Julie and Daniel DeRoche. Guys, nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Alrighty, so let's jump
Jeff
into
and
this
Sarah.
first one. We got Jeff and Sarah. They are ready to sell their home. Daniel, first question for you. What is the absolute first thing they should do?
It's like a game show.
Yeah, look at you. We've even given you
Yeah,
an official
the
mic.
microphone is definitely freaking me out. A little bit.
What do they need to do?
First thing
They
they
got to
gotta
find
do.
a realtor.
You got to pick the right realtor
Yeah.
first and foremost. And a lot of people make a mistake of just going with their one friend's recommendation. You should definitely interview 3 realtors.
Really?
Yep, absolutely.
So hypothetically, you've got 3 realtors, and they start saying, "Oh, we could probably sell this house for about $250. No, $275. Wait, $300. Bingo, going with the 300 person." You would say not so fast.
a lot of people really just trust the high number. They want as much as possible, but you really have to do your research properly and come up with the right number. But first, you want to pick the best realtor based off their qualifications, how they're going to market your home, their communication skills.
If a realtor is saying a number way higher than you think, like your neighbor got down the street, is that a red flag?
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
And don't go by the neighbor's house either, because everybody's house is so different.
Yeah.
And you
Okay.
always say availability too. You got to make sure that they're willing to pick up your
If
phone
they're not
call, respond to
answering-
your text.
Yep, they got to answer your phone. Plain and simple.
Okay, Julie, Jeff's mom says
Oh,
their
boy.
house is perfect and says their house does not need to be changed in any way. She was also a bit much when it came to the wedding planning, and Sarah doesn't agree with her on this one either.
no
It's a
problem.
whole thing. Okay, what should they do to get their place ready to sell?
Yeah, well, we sit down with them when we meet with a client and we go over a whole list of what they need to do. Do they need to paint? Do they need to refinish the floors? We provide the people that they need to do that. So if they need to refinish the floors, we have a floor guy.
And you're not afraid to say, look, guys, you got to redo this.
No, because you have to be honest with them, because if we're not honest with them, they're not going to get as much as they could for the house.
You must encounter somewhat of a hurdle though, because people, to them, they think it's a home, but they have to shift into this is a house now and it's a business transaction.
Yep, and we have a talk about how this is not, we're not talking about your house that you live in. We're talking about how do we make it appeal to people that are going to buy it, and it's, like you said, it's a business transaction.
Staging is something that is included with you guys, and
Correct.
I'm noticing more and more realtors do this, saying we are going to foot the bill, we want this house staged, because look at the before and after. What does this do for potential buyers, Julie, when you have this kind of a dramatic change?
Well, it's so much more appealing when
Yeah.
you walk into the after room. It looks, I think, bigger once the furniture is positioned properly. We have an awesome stager. She goes into every listing of ours and will tell you what to do. And it's just simple.
It's
Move
everything
this-
like fluff the pillow,
Yeah.
everything that people don't think about doing.
You
Get
should
a
have
new
her come
comforter
over
for your
before
bed.
Thanksgiving.
My goodness, have you ever had anyone after you stage their home, it's almost like the show Love It or List It, and they're like, you know what? We want to stay here.
Absolutely.
Really?
It does happen.
Oh, God.
Wow.
It's a
All right,
makeover.
let's get back to Jeff and Sarah. You guys probably know Jeff's friend Larry. So he said that their house easily worth $400,000. Daniel, the question would be, do they just go with what Larry says and say, yeah, you're right, Larry, 400?
No, not at all. Most people just want to get as much as possible, and most realtors are going to tell you what you want to hear, what they think you want to hear. You really want to do, like most realtors I find do a market analysis, takes them an hour. They just kind of print off the neighbors' homes that have sold. Here it is. Here's what's happening in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
You should be spending 3, 4, 5 hours doing a proper analysis and then really meeting with the people and going over exact details. How many fireplaces? How recently was it redone? It can't just be the neighborhood and a 2-story. There's a lot more to it.
And then also when you're setting the price, you got to start getting into some paperwork with your realtor at that point as well? Is that when,
Yeah,
like signing contracts, disclosures,
Disclosures,
things
all
like that?
Yeah, the sellers, there's a lot of disclosures, there's a lot of paperwork in general, and I typically like to suggest waiting towards the end once everything's done. You know, I'm not a big fan of driving the contracts down somebody's throat right up front. You really want to get everything all set up, all the plans in place, the house perfect. You know, you want to understand the contracts, talk about them, but the signing of the contract, in my opinion, is pretty much right before you put it on the market. And the disclosures are so important to be accurate. So many people, I can't believe how many people miss
They rush
so
through
much.
that,
They rush
yeah.
through it. It has to be complete, really.
Okay, so Sarah and Jeff have their realtor picked. They picked you guys, obviously. They have their inspections done, and then they have their price set. So what's next? We want to sell, and the photos are a big deal, Julie?
Yes. So once the house is completely perfect, we schedule the photos. And you want to make sure that you have a professional photographer take the photos.
So that one's not great, what we're looking at right there.
No, the lighting is horrible. We have a professional photographer that comes in, they bring lighting. light the place up, make sure that you're not, it's not overexposed or overfocused.
Because buyers today are buying, I mean, they're choosing what to look at based on the pictures.
Yeah, if you looked at those two pictures, you'd pick the last one.
And then the sign goes in the ground.
Sign goes in the
The
ground.
MLS listing is important.
Yep, so we get the home listed on the MLS, and it goes on all the other third-party websites. And then people have to understand that once the house goes on the MLS and it's live, you could get a showing request that night.
Time.
You got to be ready right
And that's
away.
when you're thinking, we want this puppy to sell in a day because I can't handle 2 days of this.
But remember, you don't want to sell them day one. You want to wait for those multiple offers to come in. See?
You gotta focus on that. Thank you,
I know.
Julie. Thank you,
Thanks,
Daniel.
you guys. So we have a link to the DeRoche Realty Group with Coldwell Banker Burnett on our website. And if you want to maximize your chances of getting the home you want or selling yours for top dollar, they'd be happy to have a one-on-one meeting with you at no cost.
You can visit TwinCitiesLive.com for more. Big thanks to DeRoche Realty Group for sponsoring our show. TCL, coming right back.
Thanks, guys.